back to my channel. If you're new here, Dumelang Bagaetsho, I hope you like it here. I hope you stay, I hope you subscribe, I hope you like, share and comment because there's some fun shenanigans happening on this channel. But if you're a returning subscriber, Dumelang Bagaetsho, you know what goes down on this channel. Oh my goodness, my voice is still a little bit hoarse because it's cold out in these Korean streets and a girl has been sick. I came and I was like, happy Vlogmas, and then after saying happy Vlogmas, my health was like so yeah, just I haven't had a voice, but I'm back now. I'm feeling much better. The air quality here is ridiculous, like, yo. But anyway, I'll talk about all of those things in a different video. But I have been meaning to shoot this story time since I arrived in Korea, and that was in August. It's now December. But yeah, work has been hectic. I'm feeling hot. That was in August, and now it's December. Like, I need to get on my Zoom, especially when it comes to my YouTube channel. I need to get on my Zoom. But yo guys, like, the way my job is so demanding, I'm always tired. Like, the way my job is so demanding, I am always tired. But as you can see from the title of this video, I want to share a story time about how I was trapped in South Korea after my contract ended. Yo guys, when I tell you, I was never prepared. I was trapped in South Korea for 2 weeks after my first contract had ended. All right, so I don't want to waste any time and make this video too long because the story the story itself is lengthy. At the end of my contract, right? If you guys watched my life update that I posted a couple of months ago when I first arrived in Seoul, I disclosed that I had to, first of all, I started job hunting at a very late stage. Like, I started looking for my current job very late. Like, I think towards the end of May, beginning of June, that's when I started looking for my current job. And I was looking for a job that starts end of July, beginning of August, because I wanted to go home, right? So fine, that was my fault. And I didn't like think and prepare ahead, because what I wanted to do was to renew my residence card, my ARC. They don't call it an ARC anymore, they call it an RC, residence card. Previously it was known as a alien registration card. Yes, registration card, residence card. ARC, man, ARC. Right? So I wanted to renew my ARC before I left South Korea so that I don't have to go home and then have to apply for another visa to come back into the country. Because if you guys don't know, our contracts only are for 1 year and our visas are attached to our contracts, meaning that our visas as well are only valid for 1 year. Well, 13 months actually. So if you arrive in June, your ARC will expire next year in July. So they give you 13 months in preparation. Should you stay or should you, well, if you stay, then you'll be able to have that 1 month of grace period whereby you can go to the immigration office and extend, right? So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to extend my ARC card before I left. And I knew that my ARC card was expiring on the 14th of July. And I'm only going to come back into the country month end July. So by the time I come back, my ARC would have expired. I would have to go back to South Africa, go to Pretoria and renew, or rather start the process of the visa situation. So I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that, right? So I was like, okay, fine. I secured my job currently, the one that I am at right now. And then I was like, listen, I want to extend my visa at the immigration office. And they were like, do you have an appointment? So at the immigration office, you have to make an appointment before you go in. And sometimes the appointments may be fully booked for an entire month. I did not have an entire month. I didn't even have a week. I wanted to renew my ARC and keep it going, right? Because my contract ended on the 15th or on the 14th of June, and then the following day I left Daegu and came to Seoul's immigration office, and I had printed my ticket that, hey, I have flight ticket booked for the 19th of June, so I'm going home. Can you process my ARC immediately? And not to say that I went in without okay, fine, I went in without the preparation, but I knew what I was doing was not impossible, because I had friends who had found jobs in different cities in South Korea, and they went to those immigration offices in those cities, and their ARCs were able to be processed within 20 minutes, 30 minutes, like the same day. They were able to process it, print it, and have their new dates on the system and on their ARC. So I was like, okay, cool, that's what I'll do, because the immigration office, if it's an emergency and you're not able to find a booking spot online, because it's always fully booked, it is always fully booked. But sometimes there are just those people who book but then they never show up, so they do give you you are allowed to go to the immigration office to fix your visa issues, even though you don't have an appointment. Under the you can go only if it's an emergency, right? So yes, my situation is an emergency, and I tell them, print my ticket, print my flight ticket. I'm like, I'm due to be out of the country on the 19th of June, so I need this to be processed now. So now when I got to the immigration office, I got the shock of my life. I got the shock of my life. The lady at the counter at the immigration office was like, no, we're not going to process your ARC now. I'm like, huh? Like, yeah, I'm not going to process your ARC now. You have to stay at least 2 weeks in the country. It was at that moment where my life flashed right in front of my eyes. My whole world collapsed. Mind you, I have been looking forward to going home. I miss my family. I miss my mom. Everyone is expecting me. I'm telling them, Gaitla, listen, I'm coming. And this lady at the immigration office is telling me no. She's like, you can't leave the country. What do you mean you're leaving the country? She basically looked at my flight ticket and was like, you can't leave. Yeah, I see a flight ticket. What is it for? You can't leave. You can't leave up until you process your ARC, right? And but thankfully, I was there with my boss, and my boss, they were able to speak in Korean, blah, blah, blah. Because even though she could speak English, she couldn't speak English that well, and I couldn't explain and for her to understand what's happening. So my boss stepped in and she explained to my boss, this is the situation. And also, not to say that this is impossible in different cities. Thing is, Seoul is a capital city, and Seoul has an influx of foreigners. So it takes a while for these things to get processed. So if you're looking to do this in a different city, a smaller city, then you'll be able to do so. Their immigration office doesn't have an influx of foreigners or people who need to be issued visas, then sure, go ahead. But in Seoul, just in a metropolitan city that has a lot of people coming in and out, I would not suggest you do that, right? I really would not suggest you do what I did. And I did what I did because I knew people who had done that, but they had done that in either smaller cities, in different cities, because I had someone else that I knew who did the very same thing in Incheon. They went into the immigration office at Incheon. They got it sorted out within 20 minutes, 10 minutes. I can't remember how long it was. But that person went to the immigration office in Incheon, got their stuff sorted out without even booking an appointment, because it was an emergency, right? They got that, they got on their flight and they went home. they went to go visit their family. So I was like, what I'm doing is not something that has not been done before. And I have a friend as well. My friend has heard of these stories. So even though I was unprepared, but I knew that my situation was not uncommon. It's not like it's something that has never been heard of. So fine, she tells me that we can't process your ARC immediately. So that was one of the most trying times of my life, because my boss was like, listen, originally I was supposed to come back into the country on the 18th of July so that I could get 1 week of training at my job before we begin at the end of July, right? And then my boss was like, listen, this lady says that you can't leave unless if you would like to process your ARC in South Africa. And that means that it's more work on us, meaning the school, because they now have to come and apply. So I would have to go to South Africa, wait for them to apply for my VIN number, take that number to the embassy, the Korean embassy in South Africa, and apply for a visa to come into South Korea. And he was like, that process on its own can take up to a month. And I was like, I don't want to be in South Africa for longer than a month. So by the time I'm ready to leave South Africa, that will be when you guys will be hearing feedback. And he's like, that's like at minimum a month. So I started panicking. I'm panicking. I'm not thinking straight. I'm not thinking about it now. I'm like, I should have just went home. I should have just went home and let them do that, and then kasatswafi hoya to the to the embassy in Pretoria and start all over again. Yeah, man, like I just didn't want to start all over again, because back in South Africa I had recently heard of an extra step that is required for you to get a visa to come into South Korea. So prior to me coming here, my visa application was easy. All I had to do was do the chest x-ray. I can't remember what else I needed, but there was some medical test that I had to do. Now there was an extra step, an extra medical test that I had to do in South Africa. And I went onto the Facebook group, the South Africans in South Korea teachers on Facebook, and a lot of people had been failing, or rather getting rejected for their visas. And I know someone personally who tried to get into South Korea and they were not aware of this step, and their visa got rejected, and they were like, you're gonna have to wait for like a week, 2 weeks before you come and reapply again. So there was a lot of things that were going on back home in terms of the visa application to come back into South Korea, and there was a lot of uncertainty and unclarity. So I was like, I don't want to go through that. I don't want to go to Pretoria, wait for a week only to be told that my visa has been denied. Kafa, I signed a contract and I said that I'll be starting on this particular day, but kamo decline. So it was I was processing a lot in that moment. My boss is like, because now it's gonna take us longer to get this VIN number, and you can see that here in Seoul the immigration office doesn't work as quickly as other immigration offices, then it is best for you to stay home up until the end of July. So mind you, I guess it's the 14-15 of June. Yeah? He's like, why don't you leave at the end of June, spend the whole month at home, and then come back at the end of July. Yeah, spend the whole month of July with your family, and then come at the end of June, beginning August. So I was like, okay, that makes sense, it's fine. So I stayed an extra 2 weeks. So this 2 weeks, the drama that unfolded, okay, fine. The first week my boss was like, you know what, it's fine, we can start your training while you're here, while you're waiting for your ARC. I was like, oh, okay, fine. I start my training for that 1 week. I get myself a hotel, and then I start my training here in Seoul at my new school. And then after that week, I think it was on a Thursday or a Friday, I can't remember very well, but it was like a Thursday or a Friday. I called the immigration office and I'm like, hey, have you guys processed my ARC, not my visa, my ARC? And they're like, sure, like your ARC is done. I was like, then why did that lady tell me that I have to wait for 2 more weeks? That time at the immigration office, I canceled my flight. Mind you, I had booked my flight in March, right? Very cheap because I bought it in advance. Cancel my flight. I have to book an... When I tell you the amount of money that I spent, ridiculous. So fine, I get a refund from the airline that I had booked with, but then they deduct a certain percentage because you did not show up or something like that. No, guys, like I was shaky. I was checking my card. Because now here's all this money that I did not anticipate to spend. Number one, I just finished my contract, so in my head I'm in holiday mode because I'm about to go home. Training, so now I have to go back into work. Oh, I was checking my card. Those 2 weeks that I spent in Seoul, okay, fine. I do the training. I call them at the immigration office. They're like, come pick it up. I go and I pick it up. I have it ready. I finished my training for that 1 week. But then because immigration office 2 weeks, I only booked my flight for 2 weeks later, meaning that I was supposed to leave on the 29th of July. Okay, fine. After that week, I go to my friend in Incheon. I find my friend accommodates me for that 1 week. Oh, thank God for my friend, because she was there for me in my lowest of low seasons because I was going through it. Okay, fine. I get training. Immigration office. I'm waiting for the 29th so that I can leave Korea, go to South Africa and visit my family. Guys, what I'm about to tell you. Come the 29th. Come the 29th. It is raining. I don't know from where. Pula ine. Even not even on the 29th, on the 28th. Pula ine. You. And then you know when it's raining, what does that mean for the flights that are flying in the sky? What does that mean for the flights that are flying in the sky? I wake up. My flight was for 1 p.m. I wake up, getting out, 7. Wake up, start getting ready because I had planned to go to the airport at 10. Check in at 10 so I can wait. At 8, I get an email from the airline, Air China. I get an email from Air China. Get an email from Air China. They're like, your flight has been delayed from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. in the evening due to weather conditions. I guess I know. Mind you, I have to take a flight from Incheon Airport to Beijing, right? Get to Beijing, take my connecting flight. I had to get on a transit flight to Shenzhen. That's where I'm going to get the flight that goes to Johannesburg. All of that. My flight leaves here at 1:30. I arrive in China in 2 hours. My next flight is at 4 p.m. in Beijing, going to Shenzhen. My flight from Shenzhen to Johannesburg is at 6. But here in Incheon, they're telling me that my flight is only leaving at 6. I was like, hold on. You know, the people that I'm calling back, they're not responsible for what. Yeah. I must call Mang, I must call which department? Should I go to the airport? I don't want to go to the airport and only find that I cannot board my flight because the flight copy it's on here. I'm talking to the travel agent that had like helped me purchase this ticket. They're like, go to the airport, go to the airport, go to the airport. When I just go to the airport. But when I call the airline, they're like, we don't know, don't do it. Yo, guys, no. Ke likiwa tumelo, ke likiwa maikutlo. Wait, who? I was like, why? Why is it so difficult for me to go to South Africa? Like, why is it so difficult for me to visit my family and leave this? Like, I wanted nothing to do with Korea because in that moment, I just wanted to be at home with my family. I missed my family. They're telling me that flights are delayed. I'm like, give me a proper explanation. Are you telling me this flight from Incheon to China is the one that's delayed, not the one that's going from China to Johannesburg? So, I'm going to leave here at 6 p.m. Then I'm stuck in China. They're like, so I'm asking, I'm like, when is the next flight that leaves China? That leaves Shenzhen. Remember that I have a transit flight. I'm flying from here to Beijing, Shenzhen, Johannesburg. I'm like, so when is the next flight that leaves from Shenzhen to Johannesburg? You will not believe what these people told me. They said, and I quote, the next available flight that will be flying out of Shenzhen is on the 2nd of July. On the 2nd of July. I was like, I know you are lying. What? What do you mean on the 2nd of July? They're like, yes, that's the next available flight. So now, 29, 30, 31, 1. I have an extra 4 days in South Korea that I did not plan or budget for. Upon the expenses that I just... that have just multiplied. I was livid. I've never cried in my life the way I did on that day. I cried. I wept. Sana, I wept. Because what do you mean? What do you mean? I only want to leave on the 2nd of July when originally I was supposed to be gone on the 19th of June. Okay, fine. Crucify me for the immigration office shenanigans. Fine, I get it. But what do you mean? Like, I just broke down. I was like, no. I cried so hard. I've never cried. I cried. Yo. But yeah, I stayed for an extra 4 days by the goodness and mercy of my friend. She was like, don't worry, friend. Like, you can still stay here at my place. It's fine. I'll still accommodate you. Like now, on top of that, you are staying extra days that you did not anticipate. But that was like the worst season of my life. Like, having to go back home. I don't know why God didn't want me to leave. Like, I don't know what was in the vicinity, what was blocking me. But anyway, fine. It arrives the 2nd of July. I prayed so hard. I prayed. And then I left on the 2nd of July. It wasn't raining. Left Incheon Airport. Got to Incheon Airport. And I flew to China to Shenzhen to Johannesburg. It was the longest flight of my life. 16 hours non-stop from Shenzhen to South Africa. Because there's a direct flight from China that goes to South Africa. But don't book Air China. Don't do that. They have so many surprises. After that, I don't think I'll ever book a flight. Unless if I'm going directly to China, then I'll never book with a Chinese airline ever again. Because what do you mean? But in my next story time, I will tell you how I was trapped in China because of that same airline. I was trapped in China, coming back to South Korea from South Africa because of that same airline. I was trapped in China where I don't know anyone. But that's it for today's video, guys. I really hope that you enjoy this video. And I will catch you in my next story time, in my next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below if you've had similar experiences because of the airline. But yeah, bye.